Hello everyone and welcome back to the season finale of Invincible. Episode 8 has just arrived, along with the news that not only season 2 for Invincible is coming out, but there will be a third season. Robert Kirkman, and of course you have Yeun announcing that earlier this morning with Amazon Prime, and I am so incredibly relieved that we're going to see more of this play out on the screen, and so I don't have to just go out and read the comics just to satisfy what is going to happen in this story. We're actually going to be able to see it in a few more seasons, and of course we have the live action movie coming out eventually. I don't know exactly when the release date is for that, but that gets me so excited because I have become such a massive fan of Invincible over the past few weeks, especially because of how much it has blown up on my channel. I have been absolutely loving talking about this show with all of you guys, and you guys have been so gracious to my channel for all of these videos. So thanks guys for watching. Subscribe if you have not already, and leave a like, and also comment down below what you want to see from my channel, because we will have a stale period of Invincible for a while. So what other shows do you want me to talk about? What other movies do you want to talk about? I love talking about movies. This is the basis of the channel. It was not originally for TV and stuff like this, but it was more so for movies. So what movies do you guys want me to watch and review? I'm open to almost anything. But that being said, guys, let's just jump right into spoilers, full spoilers for the season finale of Invincible if you have not yet seen the episode. Also, I've not read the comics, like I said, so don't spoil anything for the future of the comics for anybody else watching this video or for me, because I might read the comics, or at least up until this point, I might not. It depends on how soon season 2 is going to be here. So let's just jump right into this episode, which picks up exactly where the last one left off, which the last one was by far my favorite of the series, and this one is probably just as good. Like, I'd put it on par with the last episode. These last two episodes have been insane. So we start off with, the whole we have to talk with Mark and his dad having the conversation of what he really is doing on Earth, what the Viltrumites are really doing. And it's exactly as I predicted in earlier episodes of me guessing that they're a society where they send off these recruits to go and take over other planets. And that's exactly what the Viltrumites did. They took their planet and they essentially erased half of the entire population by brutally murdering everybody, just to have, no weaklings amongst, the people of Voltrum. And because their population was so incredibly thinned out with all the different thousands of worlds that they took over with their smaller population, they had to take their most powerful and trusted soldiers and spread them out through the universe, going to different planets. And that is exactly what Nolan was. Nolan was a soldier that was sent to Earth to essentially have a child and teach that child to take over this planet and spread the Voltrumites across the universe, essentially taking over all the worlds they possibly can. And this is what I was expecting from what we've learned in previous episodes, but finally getting to see it and finally getting that satisfaction, that conversation, especially with how Mark reacts to this, is everything I wanted. Because this fight, I don't even want to call it a fight, this absolute beating that Mark took once again. This guy, his name is Invincible, and the name pops up every time splattered with more blood, because this guy just gets beat to the dirt every single time he's in a fight. And you just can't help but feel bad for him, because like I've said in all my other videos, he's the Spider-Man of this world. Yes, he has the powers of Superman, but he's just a high school student trying to balance, at one point he had a job, at one point, he had a girlfriend, at one point, he's just a high school student, and now throwing all this, crazy things and this insane origin story for a superhero, throwing all this stuff at him is so endearing. And that is why I love this show so much, because Mark and Yeun voicing this character really is likable in the best way possible, and seeing him deal with this traumatic events of seeing the truth behind his father. There's a point where he says, "This is the first time I've ever told you the truth and you're still not listening to me." And that is just heartbreaking for Mark. Oh, what's even more so and more brutal about this entire sequence is, yes, you have Cecil trying to throw more things at him. He sends a couple jets to, give Mark some time to maybe, decide something, to maybe, get his head wrapped around things and fight back. But all that happens is Mark desperately tries to save one of the pilots. And of course, Nolan just had to land there and just smash his face in, and just brutal. Like, this guy was saved. He's like, "Thank you for saving me." And then just dead. And then this gets even worse because he's thrown into, I believe, Chicago, and the city is being destroyed and this building is falling down, and Mark once again trying to save this mother and her daughter, and they're hanging from a building. The thing collapses, and then when Mark gets up, he's holding the arm of the mother in his hand, just the arm. And it is just you get to see these things that you don't get to see in other superhero shows or movies or anything like that. Because you imagine the Battle of New York in the original Avengers movie, how many, of those aliens were wreaking havoc amongst New York, and how many people must have died in that entire event. Or of course Sokovia in Avengers Age of Ultron, or Man of Steel in particular, the amount of destruction and death that happened in that movie, with the entirety of like Metropolis being decimated essentially. You get to see the people that it affects in this show more so than any other comic book storyline I've ever seen before. And this makes this show stand out amongst everything else, because yes, the first episode, if you go back and watch my review for that, I was like, oh, this is just a Justice League ripoff type of thing. But then Nolan kills all the Guardians of the Globe and just completely flips the show on its head, and that's what this show has done every single step of the way. Because yes, I was expecting some confrontation between Mark and his father in this episode. I was not expecting him to use Mark's face slamming through an entire subway train, murdering everybody on that train with the arms of Mark. And that was just, talk about disturbing and bloody and just the most brutal thing I've seen in this show so far. And we've seen people cut in half before by Omni-Man with Immortal just in the last episode. But seeing this train full of people kind of mirroring the whole Spider-Man 2 scene with him, trying to hold the train back and them all lifting, Peter Parker over and giving him his mask back and all this beautiful moments. But what's more realistic? Oh, you have the villain holding the character's face and slamming him through a train, murdering everybody on board. That was just insanely brutal. And all the while, the world is watching. There's a camera on them. Also, whoever's camera following this entire fight through different countries around the world and all these different places, so Debbie and Cecil can watch, and everybody on the news can watch. That camera person is crazy fast. And also Nolan is completely ignoring that there's probably a helicopter going around filming them. I thought it would have been funny at one point if Nolan just destroyed the news team that's covering this entire event, which I guess it would have broken the entire story, but it would have been funny to see a little breaking the fourth wall type thing with that. And there's an episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier that was literally called And the World Watches, or The World is Watching, when you get to see John Walker kill that guy who killed his friend in battle with the shield, and having that image just destroyed for so many people. And that's what the US is for that show. And to see Omni-Man being revealed doing all these terrible things, he's been outed in so many different ways, and now everybody knows the true evil behind Omni-Man. It is just heartbreaking seeing all those people watching that and all this destruction that he causes. And towards the middle of the episode, when he's just beating Mark down to death on top of the mountain where they went to in the first episode when they're talking, was heartbreaking as well, because Mark just can't fight back, and he doesn't want to fight back. He's pleading to his dad, and he gets some sense of change within Nolan's head, because you get that flashback sequence of when he was a kid playing baseball, and he hits the bases, and he was able to get all the way home, and he scores a point for the team, and he runs to his parents. And Debbie all the while is talking these are the moments of humanity that matter. Things like this seem arbitrary to you. You feel like you can do all these different things instead of watching your son play baseball. But it's these small moments, it's the little things, like in Zombieland, rule number 32, enjoy the little things. These little things are what matters so much to humanity. And to him, it just doesn't, because like he says, he will outlive, and Mark will outlive everybody on this planet. Even when Earth is being destroyed in millions of years from now, you will be still around to watch all of this. And I think that was an interesting way to show, the type of characters that Viltrumites are. They will live for thousands and thousands of years, and as they get older, they start to age slower. So that's why, once everybody dies that he knows so far right now, he'll look barely past 30 years old, but he aged at first very quickly. So that's why, he was able to live a normal, certain amount of years before he got his powers. And that entire conversation of, Nolan was worried that he wouldn't have the powers, and he needed a son that had the Viltrumite DNA in order to do all of these things. That's why he killed the Guardians of the Globe when he did, because I was thinking about that, why did he kill the Guardians of the Globe at that point? And that was right after Mark got his powers. So he's okay, now Mark has got his powers, now I know for sure he's a Viltrumite, now I can start taking over this world. And that was just the thing that clicked inside his head. But looking back at all these moments that he had with Debbie, that he had with Mark, he looked at his son as he's beating him to death and just lies down and collapses at his side, and then eventually just flies off. Which, another cool little detail is when he's flying off, all the blood just covering him just slowly burns away in the atmosphere as he flies off. And who knows how long he's going to be gone, because as we saw when Mark was going to Mars, it took several weeks for him to take that trip and get back. And so how far is Voltrum? How far is he going to be gone, or how far is he going to have to go, and how long is he going to be gone until Nolan comes back to Earth? Because Nolan has abandoned his station, which is something that Alan the alien says at the end of the episode, which is very odd and very different for a Voltrumite, and that might mean something to stop them in taking over all the worlds with a coalition of planets, and all these different things that they're planting the seeds for is very interesting. It's very cool that Seth Rogen, who's the producer of this show and is doing all these great things, you know, bringing this comic to life in all these ways that I keep on hearing everybody in the comments saying that they're taking these details like Debbie's character or like Amber's character and William and Eve and all these different characters, slightly changing them and upgrading them to today's world, essentially today's world, and Robert Kirkman be able to, you know, dive deeper into these side characters instead of just focusing on Nolan and Mark, and being able to expand on everything that he's done in the comics. That is what everybody's saying with it. I'm so glad that Seth Rogen and Robert Kirkman and all these people behind the creative team are able to just create the show in the best way it is, and that is just something that I love about Invincible. And yes, that was probably the bulk of the episode, was this whole Mark and Omni-Man, you know, confrontation. Invincible and Omni-Man finally fighting each other, going head to head, or fighting each other, really a one-sided beatdown. But a lot of other stuff happened in this episode. You get to see, you know, the Guardians of the Globe, this new team that has formed, finally getting a sense of who they are, being able to scrub the blood off of the walls as a team as they, you know, go. They know they can't do anything against Omni-Man, and it was definitely not smart for them to go fight Omni-Man, because they probably would have definitely all died like everybody else who confronted him did. And that's smart for them to just go off and try to save as many people as possible. And they just kind of collapsed on the floor at the end, completely exhausted from doing it. But that really brought them together as a team. And also you get to see after Mark finally recovers after several weeks of just being so entirely in pain and in the hospital, he finally returns home to Amber, who, you know, decides to get back together with him because she understands, she sees his pain, all these different things that he's going through. And I'm very happy that they're getting back together. I'm interested to see where this relationship goes, because, you know, we were just talking about in the comments of my last video, all this like conflict, and we're talking about this relationship as if it's real, because they've done such a good job writing the relationship between Amber and Mark. And that's one of my favorite aspects of this entire show, is just the writing is so good. But you get to see Mark, Amber, Eve, and William all together, you know, as this group that has formed around Mark, that knows his secret identity, that are all standing beside him and with him and trust him with everything. And Eve even explains her, you know, secret identity to Amber and William, and they're like, oh, the duplicate, you're duplicate. And they're like, no, this is Adam Eve. It's another very funny moment there. And so one thing about this episode, as I'm starting to wrap up here, is the fact that it really does wrap up the season. It ties it up with a nice little bow while also keeping a massive intrigue for what they can do in the future. This was the perfect place to end the season, because you've learned the story and the backstory of Nolan, and you got all this stuff and that conflict between him and his son and Mark, and his learning his abilities and making all these friendships, and the relationship between him and Debbie, or him and his mom, and all these different things have all set up, and all these different villain characters have also been set up, because when, you know, Alan the alien goes up to Mark and says, okay, so what are you going to do now? And we get to see flashes of, you know, the thing on Mars is all happening still. You get to see, you know, the flashes of the earthquake guy is still around, getting all these rock molten monsters underground. You get to see the guy, you get to see that one planet that Nolan, you know, went through the portals, all those aliens who age really fast on Earth. You get to see that they're actually, Nolan did not decimate that entire planet, which is kind of surprising to me that he didn't just destroy the entire place, because that's not the planet he was sent to destroy. No, he was sent to destroy Earth instead. So apparently he didn't destroy that entire planet. They're still, you know, trying to recover from all that, because, you know, like, centuries have probably gone by for them since, you know, their encounter with Nolan. And so that entire situation is still going on. You get to see all those robotic, like, cyborg creatures. That's that one guy who's making them, that villain character, is now recruited by Cecil, making an army of those things that will definitely come in handy when it comes to Nolan coming back to Earth. And that entire storyline, really, with Cecil having that, you know, area where he says, oh, anybody on Earth drinks this water that makes this certain type of, you know, frequency of light not visible to the human eye, and so they have this entire operation going on in this giant white room that is really intriguing. And of course, my favorite thing, this running joke that will hopefully be throughout to every single season of this show, is Immortal dying and coming back to life. I want him to die every single episode that he is in. I want Immortal to die every single time and have him come back in some way, be brought back because he is immortal, and I think that is just hysterical. And by the end of the series, I want Immortal to have like some sort of sense of finishing a character arc of him somehow defeating Nolan in some way. I want some resolution to this arc because Immortal is not going anywhere, and that is my favorite thing ever. And of course, you get to see the MAULER twins being locked up in prison once again, and just, this gets me so excited because, you know, that question is asked to Mark, what are you going to do now? And you see all these flashes. You get to see Payton again dealing with other things that he's doing in his world, and all these different villain of the week type of things that we thought maybe in the comments of some other videos said, okay, it feels like we're just kind of wasting time here. It seems like we're setting stuff up that doesn't matter, but everything that we've seen so far matters, and everything is going to come back in such a fun season 2, of course, with new things to come, and it gets me so excited. And what does Mark say in response to that question of what are you going to do now? Oh, he's going to go ahead and finish high school. So I think I covered almost everything. If I missed something, comment down below in the comment section and let me know what you want me to talk about. And also, I don't think my brother has watched this show yet. I really pleaded with him to watch this show, but after watching it all and after seeing how great it does on my channel, I kind of want to get his reaction to watching Invincible for the first time and get some actual reaction videos of it, because I feel like that can be really fun and get that reaction that I got at least out of this show, of just being blown away by the brutality, especially at the end of the first episode. So if you guys want to see that, comment down below and I can show that to my brother to convince him to watch this show, because I think he would really like it. So thanks guys for watching this video. Subscribe to the channel, of course. Let me know what you want to see for the future of this channel. Leave a like, hit the notification bell too, because you never know what I'm going to be uploading next, whether it's some movie stuff or some other TV show stuff. The Bad Batch is about to come out on Disney Plus, and I might do a video on that probably after the season wrapped, maybe episode to episode if it is crazy enough when it starts. I'm not sure if that's going to be as universe expanding as, you know, the Clone Wars was or anything like that. So definitely keep an eye out on the channel for all of those things. So thanks everyone for enjoying my series on Invincible, and I cannot wait to see you guys all again for season 2. So thanks guys for watching, and I hope to see you all in my next one.